Hi, this is Rusty Komori, and this is Awaken Nation with Brad Zales.
A huge shift is taking place on planet Earth. People seem to be waking up. Tired of the way things used to be, they are creating something brand new and changing the world we live in. My name is Brad Zales, and I get to sit down with the next generation of idea makers, the disruptors, and the game changers. Everyday people, just like you and me, from all over, who are doing amazing things to Awakened Nation. Hey, everybody. I have a great guest on today, and he comes by word of mouth, a trusted friend, Brian Heathman. We have Rusty Komori on today. He is a legendary tennis coach, leadership expert, and best-selling author of Beyond the Lines, Beyond the Game. I am excited to have you on today, Rusty. Please welcome to Awaken Nation, my friend.
Brad, it's super awesome to be on your show with you.
Super awesome. I have not ever heard that, and I want to thank you for taking it up a notch. Now my other guests have to do this. Let's start right away. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have kids, young kids, adult kids, whatever, get a pen and paper. This is the guy who has taught tennis and won several championships from, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rusty, high school, college, and adult, every in between. And we know you said this on another podcast. Adults are tough to teach, college kids tougher, but teenagers are the hardest. Am I correct on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would agree to that because teenagers are so unpredictable. And I was the head coach of the Punahou School boys varsity tennis team for 22 years. And we were fortunate to win 22 consecutive state championships. So I've been around a generational change, needless to say.
I would say so in 22 years. I want to get started with how did you get started in tennis? Let's go back in time a little bit. Was that your preferred sport or did you just kind of fall into it?
Well, in my youth, I played baseball and then soccer. And then I started tennis when I was in ninth grade, which is relatively late.
Hmm.
And what I liked about tennis was, if I win, I take all the glory. And if I lose, I take all the blame versus being in baseball or soccer. You kind of share the wins or the loss with your team. And so I thought to myself with tennis, hey, all I need to do is hit it in one more time. I can do that. So that's what I did. And I got really good through high school. And then I ended up getting a partial tennis scholarship to Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, wow. So, where did you grow up, by the way?
Honolulu, Hawaii. Yeah. So that's where I live right now as well.
Sucks to be you, huh? Great weather. I hate you. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I got so tired of shoveling snow. I moved to Las Vegas now that I'm officially an adult here. But yeah, got so tired of the snow. So let's move forward. You are into tennis and you played, but bring us forward to becoming a coach because not everybody is good at coaching. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so when I graduated from Creighton University, I took the LSAT tests. I thought I was going to go into law school, but I came back to Hawaii during that summer and I started teaching private tennis lessons at a country club. And all of my adult students were attorneys, and they all had glasses that looked like it was 3 inches thick. And I asked them, what do you do all day? And they said, oh, we read all day. You're going to
God.
read all day. You're going to have glasses like us. And I thought to myself, I don't want to read things that I have to read. I want to read things that I like to read. So,
Right.
Brad, that was the end of me pursuing law right there. And I continued teaching private and group tennis lessons and started developing a lot of our state's top ranked junior tennis players. And then after 3 years of doing that, the tennis director at Punahou School and the athletic director had said, hey, Coach Rusty, we want to have you be our head coach for the Punahou boys varsity tennis team because you train a lot of girls players, but you train over half of the boys varsity tennis team in private lessons.
Wow.
So really, that's how I became head coach.
That's a fantastic story. And One of the reasons I wanted Rusty on the show today, ladies and gentlemen, is you did something unique. You had two of your best players benched at one point, but you went on to win a championship. And I'm like, wait a minute, how does that happen? So we're going to open the lid up on your unique coaching style. So here we go.
Yeah, no, yeah. And Brad, that was interesting because two of our top players got suspended along with some of these other top players from other sports at Punahou School that one year. And so I have 12 players on the team. We went up to the state championships with 10. And our number three player, Bucky Jenks, became number one. And everybody rose to the occasion because I focused so much on mindset. And
Mhm.
it's a culture of excellence that you develop. And so you've heard it before when, someone leaves or something happens, then next man up, next woman up, right? So that's what happened. But I think it's just through the preparation of the mindset that we had that allowed that to happen.
Yeah, but a lot of people have been given, positive thinking helps achieve goals. But with you, it's different. There's something else there that, maybe that's your je ne sais quoi, as they say, or your secret sauce. But it's like you would take like the 12th player on the team that wasn't so good, and you'd work with them a little differently. And I want you to talk about that.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that as head coach, the number 12 player felt just as important as the number one player. And that's how it should be in business as well. When you're running a company, everyone should matter because everyone is a reflection of you and you're a reflection of your team, whether it be in
Yeah.
sports or business.
Hmm.
And so what I would do is I'd ask my players individually what they thought their strengths are.
Right.
And I would, after hearing what they would say, I would share with them what I felt their strengths are as well. And then they're feeling really good about themselves, thinking, wow, I never knew that I do these things well, and that's noticeable. And I would share that that is how you're going to help contribute to our team. So
Mhm.
when you identify what people do well, because people are on your team in sports or business because of their strengths. They're not on the team because of their weaknesses.
Right. You're
So
right.
for me, I want to highlight what their strengths are and then to make their strengths stronger. Because if everyone has certain strengths individually, when we put it all together collectively, that makes for an
Mm.
incredible team.
It does. It really does. It's masterful what you're doing. I was taught this in Boy Scouts, Rusty, and that is, I was always a leader, I was a den chief, patrol leader, all these things. And the first thing they teach you is if you have a difficult person or someone who doesn't like you, give them responsibility because now they're going to stop hating you and they're going to go, he must see something in me. And, and it gives them a job, basically. I want to ask you, did you ever have a student that didn't take to your teaching, didn't like pick it up and realize what you were really doing? And did you have to help turn them around in a different way?
So, when we're growing up, all of us are on teams at some point in time. We're
Right.
we're either on a sports team or even in school, the teacher is the leader of the class, right? And so
Mhm.
we observe what they do, the good things and the bad things. So we already know what we want to do if we become a leader when we're in a leadership position. And then we'll put our twist on it, and that becomes our leadership style. What I wanted to do, knowing what works and what doesn't work, I wanted to avoid that kind of scenario. So I would be more proactive in sharing what I'm thinking and feeling. And it would really open a two-way street because I wanted to ask my team members what they're thinking and feeling. I didn't want
Right.
it to be a one-way street, just me telling them what to do. I wanted feedback from them to see what works and what doesn't work. And when you do that, they feel like they're being heard. They feel like they have more of a commitment to the team. and
Right.
they feel more of a responsibility. They feel a part of a team. Everybody wants to feel like they matter, like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. So, Brad, I would really be proactive versus reactive. I think leaders that are reactive will find themselves dealing with those situations with those types of people who really don't get it. And then you're wasting time trying to prove why you're trying to help them or what the purpose is for the team and the goals that you want to achieve. So being proactive is really important there.
I want to take a moment here to, address our audience right now. I'm a baby boomer, and a lot of you listening, it usually was in the past, and I'm thinking of my father right now, my Hungarian father, shouting orders, barking orders, and they didn't care so much about why you did something dumb, that my dad would say, don't do that again, and now we're listening to a very different type of communication. And that is a two-way communication, a mentorship that is not a coach standing up here as an authority figure, but someone in the trenches that is really interacting, wanting to understand this youth, this person in front of them, why they made the choices they made, and then just nudging them a little bit along the way instead of chastising them. Um, do you just see this difference in the way you communicate, Rusty? That it is unique, but it is trending in this day and age.
Oh, absolutely. Because how people would coach players and teams 20, 30 years ago, you have to adapt your coaching and leadership style to communicate and to really press the right buttons to get peak performance with
Right.
this generation that we have of young people. And it's really having empathy for them because for me, for example, Brad, if I was on middle campus doing a workout and then I'm walking up to the tennis courts on upper campus, I might run into one of my players and I'll ask him, "Oh, I heard that your parents got divorced. If you
Ooh.
need someone to talk with, I'm here for you." Or I heard that your mom had surgery. How is she recovering? Or I remember you saying you had three big tests today. How did you do on it? We get up to the tennis courts and I didn't talk anything about tennis. They get
Right.
on the court and they want to play their butts off for me because they know that I care about them as a person first and then as a tennis player second. So I want to find out what their goals are. What do they want to achieve in life, whether it be in something that we're doing or something else, and how can I help them achieve their goals? And when they know that I care about them in that way, then they'll buy in to what we're doing. And so I think that's so important in anything that you do. You got to respect people as a person first, and then as a tennis player or a employee second.
I agree. I keep I keep thinking of, how they make those movies where they were the losingest tennis team in the collegiate level until one coach came along. And they're like, it's like my parents got divorced, and then you coach them in it. I think it would be hilarious to do a movie of the week like this. This is what I say. Fantastic, my friend. I have to give a big shout out to Brian Heathman at Made for Success. And this is our segue into your book, Superior, which I love. The title, by the way, it's fantastic. But Brian's a good friend, and he introduced us. So big shout out to Brian and Dee Dee. Thank you. Here's what I want to talk about: the leadership principles that create lasting success. And this is beyond, you just being a coach. You now teach this at the corporate level, which is what I love, keynotes, breakout sessions, workshops, the discovery of the potential for leadership and even the smallest character within a corporation to help them rise. Let's talk about that those leadership principles that you kind of you listen to other people, but you learn through your own mistakes. Am I correct on that one?
Oh yeah, I mean it's you learn throughout life what works and what doesn't work, and then what you can do to be more effective and more efficient. So for me, if I'm doing a keynote speaking or executive coaching for companies and organizations, I'm always trying to build their culture more. I'm trying to help them develop their true potential in everything that they're trying to accomplish, and then to have peak performance, not sometimes, but all the time.
Mm.
So some people can have greatness sometimes, and then they're good at other times. Well, I want everyone to be superior all the time. And like you mentioned, Superior is my new third book. And Superior is a bold title. But
Yeah.
when you read Superior, you realize that Superior isn't about being better than anybody else. It's about being your best self and helping people around you become their best selves. So, how can you be a superior parent or a superior son or daughter or coach or player or leader or team member? So I'm
Right.
sharing that superior is a mindset. It's a
Mm.
lifestyle. We all know the difference between average, good, great, and then now I have superior up there to challenge everyone to move from great to superior. And there's a lot of differences there because people can share that, hey, I'm trying to build a culture of excellence. Well, I want to help you build a superior culture of excellence.
Right.
And we've heard the term attention to details. Well, that's not good enough for me. I want to help people have superior discipline details. So
Mm.
those are some little differences that make a big difference in everything you do. So some of these Fortune 500 companies that I work with, they're successful. Well,
Right.
what they want is how can we sustain success? What do
Right.
we need to do to stay number one? Well, there's a lot of books out there that talk about achieving success, and a lot of people have told me that my books are some of the rare books that just talk about that helps people or companies or teams sustain success. So yeah, I want to challenge everyone to strive for superior excellence.
I am the same way. It's sort of like I wouldn't have achieved any of the things I've achieved if I didn't say deep inside at my core, I want to be better each day. As Emile Coué said in France, every day in every way, I keep getting better and better. And I feel that has to become an innate axiom, or a way to live by or a mission statement for just about every person, every organization, you name it. Even in parenting, I get better and better every day. And I challenge myself to get better and better every day. I guess the big question I have next is what is that one challenge that you've seen where you see resistance in a person? What is that one thing that consistently comes up when you're trying to coach someone? What is that?
So I look at that as maybe a misunderstanding or a misperceptions because some people have a certain view of what you might say or do, and it might not match. It might be,
Right.
not connecting. So I share that there's four situations that cause the most problems in all of our lives. And I refer to these four situations as the four misses. So miscommunication, misunderstanding, misperception, and misinformation. So I try to help companies avoid these four misses because
Mm.
if you don't, you're going to go off on these tangents with your coworkers or clients. And some of these relationships might become damaged and they might not ever be fully repaired. And
Yeah.
all the while, you're wasting time because that's taking time away from you achieving the goals that you want to achieve. So, this is another example of how I train companies and teams to be proactive in avoiding the four misses. And that's how we were not able to deal with some of these other situations because now everyone is being understood. Everyone has the right perceptions. There's no misinformation. The understanding is simple and clear.
You know, a lot of corporations nowadays are getting on the bandwagon with this. But when this first started out, it was, because we have a lot of boomers in the C-suite and we used to have a lot of traditionalists in the C-suite. And they were just like, what are you talking about? You either do your job or you don't. You're out of here. And this kind of mentorship leadership style is really about long-term relationship. If you hire, I mean, this is how it was in the past. Even I did this when I was a young manager. You hire and fire until you get the right staff that is, unfortunately, obedient. And that's not what you want, especially when things are moving so quickly. And we now have software that can replace a whole division in your company, and you don't know it exists. So you're barking up the tree and firing people who could have saved your butt. And nowadays, for those of you who are listening, and you might be shaking your head at this, I don't have time to manage people like this. All I can say is, do you want people to be loyal? Do you want people to stay longer? Do you want to lower your attrition rate in your organization? Then you've got to get into the muck. And if you don't feel like getting in the muck, you got to hire Rusty. Am I right?
Yeah, Brad, you're so right about that because in every team, there's so much opportunity that the leaders don't look at. And for me, when I come into a company to help get their companies, as good as they can be or to develop their potential, I'll engage with their frontline employees and ask them, hey, what are your creative ideas or different solutions or new possibilities that we could implement in our company here that would make things more efficient, more effective. When that happens, the ideas that I get from them are incredible, and so many of them get implemented. But there's a failure from leadership or management to even ask what they think or how they can be more supported in doing the role that they're in. And I would share with my teams and even a lot of these business teams that, we can do 99 things right. If we do one wrong thing, then everyone's only going to remember that one wrong thing.
Ain't that the
So
truth? Yeah.
you can never do that one wrong thing, especially if you're number one or if you're in the spotlight. So again, it's a matter of being proactive to let everyone know that we cannot make any unforced errors because then other companies or our clients will realize, oh my God, look at that one thing that they did versus the 100 things that you did good.
I look at Arthur Anderson, one of the big six accounting firms back in the day when we had big six. I think we have big four now. Um, they did everything right except for one thing. They were the accounting firm for Enron.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do. Is have the wrong client and everything. I mean, they were great. They helped me when I took my company public, K2, and trained me in public, how to run a public organization. And here they are. They're out of business because they chose to side with criminals. At least you can't out and out say they were criminals because they hid it so well. It's like what I find. And speaking of Enron, they used to have this corporate mission statement on the wall, that was acronyms RICE, RICE or whatever. And I forget what it was, but they sure did not live by those standards. I want to ask you, do you have trouble with companies when you come in and it seems the C-suite is completely disconnected from the corporate culture? Do you have to work with that or massage that a little bit?
Not really, because for the executives will read my books or they'll watch some of my shows or some interviews, and then they'll send it. They might buy books for all of their employees, or they'll send some of my shows to them. So they already know who I am. I feel like that's the most effective when they kind of know more about me. So then when I come in, they're more open
Right.
to want to hear my ideas or my strategies or tactics to help them. And one of the big things that I focus on is, when I had my tennis teams or even when I'm helping companies, I'll share with them that we're going to have some big adversities this year. We're going to have some major challenges. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it is going to happen. But when it does, and when we deal with it and we get through it, we become better for that experience. We become stronger, smarter, tougher for going through that experience. So we need to welcome adversities and look
Right.
forward to these challenges. So when I drill that into their brains, that becomes their mindset. So when that adversity happens, they're already thinking about solutions rather than being shocked and hoping that challenges and adversities never happen, but it inevitably does. So that's part of what I do to train their mindset to really welcome adversities.
I love that. Rusty has mentioned that they watched a show of his. Well, you may not know this, but he is the host of Beyond the Lines TV, and that is on YouTube. And I'm going to roll one of his episodes here, just a sweet taste of what Rusty does. Roll the tape.
Hi, I'm Rusty Komori, and this is Beyond the Lines on Think Tech Hawaii. I was the head coach of the Punahou boys varsity tennis team for 22 years, and we were fortunate to win 22 consecutive state championships. My books, Beyond the Lines and Beyond the Game, are about leadership, character, and creating a superior culture of excellence, which is what this show is all about. My special guest today went from being an orphan in Ukraine to becoming a fitness champion in the United States, and much, much more. He is Michael Vitali Vernon, and today we are going beyond fitness. Hey, Michael, welcome to Beyond the Lines.
Well, hello. Welcome, and thank you for the introduction.
Michael, I know you for a few years now, and you have such an incredible story. I mean, I'm so excited to feature you and to have people just really know where you were and where you are now. But let's start from the beginning. Can you tell me about some specific experiences that you had as an orphan in Ukraine?
Well, Rusty, I was kind of born as an orphan, basically. My mother, she was a drunk and prostitute, so she abandoned us early on. I was 4 or 5 years old. So at that age, early on, I learned to survive, survive for myself. And part of that survival was stealing food from the neighbors. And looking back on the hindsight, I had to do what I had to do to survive. But day in, day out, it was quite obvious that we didn't have food. So I would always be stealing food from the neighbors. That's just what you do. The challenges was that I didn't have an adult figure. So I was raised with my 2 sisters who were also orphans. They ended up going to orphanages at the age of 6. When my mother abandoned me, my father died. I went to the orphanage, and at the orphanage, there was a good amount of kids there as well. And amongst those kids, I made friends. And part of that is that we would talk about our parents who weren't there for us. So that really made us bond as people. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you other than that it was tough.
No, Michael, when you're saying that, food, I mean, just basic survival, that you actually had to steal food to survive. I mean, that really says a lot right there.
I'm not proud of it, but I had to do what I had to do to survive. And that character at that time, it really, moving forward as an adult, it created a mindset of survival. I'm not saying don't steal, I'm not saying steal, and I'm not condoning stealing, but what I'm saying is the mindset of survival that I have today is there, and it's been able to help me throughout my life.
Michael, tell me about your you being adopted at age 12 and your brother at age 10.
Well, my first of all, when I was adopted, it's a miracle, really, Rusty, because it's unheard of to get adopted at that age. We were quite old. I know what helped me was the fact that I looked like I was a 7-year-old, so that helped a lot. Obviously, I didn't have the nutrition to look like a 12-year-old, but that was a miracle. My brother and I, we were both orphans. We were raised together. We're close. And my mother, who's a big figure in my life, she went to Ukraine with my father, and they had cash on them on each side of the like the raincoat, the raincoat when they had to travel to be concealed. And at that time, that's what they had to do. So looking back at that, I realized the sacrifice they made to go to Ukraine at that time, a third world country, with all that cash to adopt us, because it's a cash society. So looking back at that, being a 12-year-old, getting adopted is a miracle, with my brother.
No, that's truly extraordinary, and it says a lot about your mom. And can you tell me how Arnold Schwarzenegger has influenced you?
Yeah, as we were talking earlier, being in the United States, the culture is different. I had the language barrier, the culture barrier. So I would often find myself in the library looking at books. I would look at a lot of pictures. And one of the early books that I found was a book by Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he had pictures. And that paved the way for my career today. He's very inspiring and very active individual at that time. And in Ukraine, at the gyms, we had a lot of posters of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I kind of already knew what to look for in the USA.
Now, Michael, then you became a United States Marine in 2010 to 2015 for 5 years. Why did you decide to join the Marines?
I've always been in the mindset of doing something that's difficult, and at that time I wanted to serve my new country, USA, and I thought that joining the most respectable force would be the way to go. So I joined the United States Marine Corps in 2010, 3 months after graduating high school. Graduated high school, and off I was to boot camp, and I haven't looked back since.
And Michael, I want to thank you for taking time to be on the show today. I mean, you are someone that definitely goes beyond the lines. I mean, you're very inspiring, and I know you're going to continue to impact a lot of people in your life.
Well, thank you, Rusty. I'm grateful to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your wonderful show, Beyond the Lines.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you for watching Beyond the Lines on Think Tech Hawaii. For more information, please visit rustykomori.com, and my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I hope that Michael and I will inspire you to create your own superior culture of excellence and to find your greatness and help others find theirs. Aloha.
I love what you're doing because simply, a lot of people, they do the coaching and then they transition into keynotes, but you seriously have the track record for this. I mean, 22 consecutive state championships. That is amazing. I mean, I think there's very few coaches that can claim that pedigree, my friend. So hats off to you.
Oh, thank you. I'm just trying to build the best team experience that I could do every year.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, Brad, is my first year coaching, we win the state championship, and I get presented this big, beautiful Koa Wood trophy. I mean, it's the best athletic trophy you can win in the state. And I
Hmm.
had thought to myself, wow, how cool would it be if I were to give this trophy to one of my players, not necessarily the state singles champion or the state doubles champion, but maybe a player that just went above and beyond, exemplified character, was so supportive with the teammates. And
Right.
so that's what I did. And so, Brad, I've been presented that state championship trophy 22 times. Today, I own zero trophies, but looking back, what would I do with all 22 trophies? I feel so proud that 22 of my players have those trophies.
That's beautiful, man. You're a giving leader, a giving coach is what I'd like to to say. I mean, that's the only way I can describe you. With a contagious smile. Look at that smile for those of you watching on YouTube. The only other person who's smiled quite like that is Stephen M.R. Covey. He has a contagious smile as well. He's been on the show. And speaking of which, how much of this, and Stephen talks about this a lot, is about trust, creating a sense of trust within an organization.
Oh, it's all about trust and respect. And what I like to share with people is don't invest in someone you like. Invest in people who invest in you.
Mm,
Oftentimes, in a professional relationship or a personal relationship, there's a one-way street. And that might be okay for a certain time period, but it's not going to last. The
right.
best relationships in business and life are two-way streets. Invest in people who invest in you. Don't make the mistake of just investing in somebody that you like. Stay away from situations that are one-way streets. You need two-way streets. That's how you build trust and respect. And those are the best relationships that will sustain.
Wow. Did you hear that? Did everybody hear that? Write it down. That's an order. I love that. I like to call that reverse mentorship, where instead of barking, you're listening and you're sharing and you're back and forth and all this. I want to ask you this question. Is there a big lie that you've seen that athletes can tell themselves sometimes? A big lie or disbelief that they carry within themselves?
Yeah, some people have a false sense of reality. They have a false identity. And so for me, I like to keep things really real. I don't give good feedback or bad feedback. I give honest feedback. So
Right.
for leaders, you should never give false praise. You should always give worthy praise because again, the other person will know if they don't deserve that praise or if they really do deserve that praise and you're noticing that. And when you give worthy praise, that's again a part of building trust and respect with the other person or with your team collaboratively. But what one of the key things too, Brad, that really allowed us to become successful to win those 22 consecutive state championships. And what I try to help companies with is I would share with them, don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. You don't work on something until you barely get it. You work on something until you own it, until it
Right.
becomes a part of you. And then it becomes something that you do, and then it becomes your identity. So don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. It's good when you can achieve mastery at something. And once you achieve mastery at one thing, you start to add value to yourself individually, which starts to add value to whatever team you're going to be on. But once you achieve mastery in one thing, focus on achieving mastery in a second thing. Try to be superior at as many things as you can. That's going to attract people to you but it's also going to help you build your personal growth and your personal and team success.
Wow. I love that. Unconscious competence, I believe is what that's called. And we know that. I'm from an entertainment family. My grandfather played drums and my mom sang and played piano, and I eventually joined her. We were like a duet when I was a kid. And you can practice, 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 but then that first live performance, you really know if you've mastered it because the first 30 seconds in, you'll screw something up. But over and over and over again, you add a little of your own secret sauce as you get better and better at this. I have to talk about this. My drum instructor, Donnie Lee, God bless him. He passed away many, many years ago. But I went to Lebanon Senior High School, and our drum line, we finally got this new instructor my freshman year because they fired the first instructor. The drum line always had a separate instructor. And you reminded me of this because Donnie, whenever we would screw up, he'd yell and he'd scream and he'd throw his sticks into the ground and he'd miss your feet by inches. The stick would go into the ground like like that, and scream and yell. And we didn't take it personally because, we're boomers, number one. And number two, his rants became legendary. Some of the parents would come by to pick up their kids when we were still in the middle of practice and they were horrified. Today he would have been fired immediately, but he would swear everything. I mean, he'd just go off. But when we did great, I have never seen anybody dance with such joy and go, yes, yes. He's screaming from the sidelines, and we could see him, and we would just fill with this pride and this love for Donnie. And it was just like, my God, this man he lived life at this other level, that I try to emulate to this day. But you touched on it. This era of false praise, telling Billy, hey, you showed up, champ, here's your ribbon for 16th place. I mean, this is why we have people who are mediocre players in everything from singing. We see it on American Idol. We see it in, musicianship. We see it at the corporate level. Their egos are huge because no one sat down and said, I don't think singing is a career for you. It's like we're just not honest. It's like soccer is not your sport, Bart. It's just one of those. And I think honest coaching, honest feedback, honest, telling a person the truth in a way that they can handle it, because a lot of people, they do have trouble hearing raw truth, but giving them that trajectory to get better.
No, I completely agree with you there because, and for me, what I would focus on with my tennis teams, my number one priority was to develop champion athletes of character first, and then great tennis players second. So,
I remember you said that, not to interrupt. I remember you said that, and that stuck in my craw. And I said, that is brilliant. Repeat that. Say that again.
My number one priority was to develop champion athletes of character first, and then great tennis players second. And that's applicable in sports, business, and life. I mean, character should be the main thing.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't be proud of one of my players who might win a state championship in singles with a bad attitude and being mean to others. I mean, that would be shameful. That'd be embarrassing. But I would be so proud of a player that lost in the championship final that really represented us with superior character. And really, when you do that, when you hold priorities of character, that becomes part of your culture. And then that starts to attract other employees or team members to want to be a part of that culture. And oftentimes when you build that superior culture, some of your employees might get offers, to go to another company and a higher paying job, and they might not take it because of the culture that you built where they feel so special. And even if they do leave, there's oftentimes the boomerangs where they come right back because they realize, wow, we kind of took for granted everything that we were dealing with our company. We didn't appreciate culture, but now we do. So, and even if they don't come back, they're always going to say great things about what you're trying to build and how you treat your coworkers and your clients.
Nice. So you're not a fan of John McEnroe's style of winning? Yeah. For those of you who are of a certain age, John McEnroe was this tennis player who was pretty good. I mean, he was ranked very high, but he would throw tennis rackets at the referee, swear, freak out and scream. And some of this was off mic, but he had yelled so loud you could still hear what he's saying, and it was embarrassing. And I can tell you, he probably lost millions of dollars of endorsements because of that behavior. People don't realize, we're in a different era now, thank God. But that's hilarious. How do we get a hold of you, by the way? Where do we go to? What website?
Yeah, my website is rustykomori.com, and people can also reach me on my email, rusty.komori@gmail.com. And thanks to Brian Heathman, too. I have superior merchandise right here, Brad, to try to help inspire the world. That's really why I started writing books, is to try to inspire the world. And people can also reach me, on Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn.
Something extraordinary has come out of your writing and your books and the work that you do. I'd like you to share this because some people they wanted to go down a really dark path, but something you wrote helped them, saved them.
Yeah, since my first book came out until now, 11 people have come to me sharing that they were contemplating suicide. And then after reading my books, it changed their mindset and it saved their life. So one of the 11 is Crime Stoppers coordinator, Sergeant Chris Kim. He's a public figure in Hawaii. And in 2019, he won the National Crime Stopper Coordinator of the United States award. I featured him on my show, where that's the first time publicly he shared his story about planning out his suicide and then reading my first book, and it changed his mindset and it saved his life. And I also included his story in my new third book, Superior, because I have a chapter in section 1 called Master Your Mindset, and the chapter is mental fitness. So I'm trying to change the narrative from mental health to mental fitness, because when you hear mental health, it sounds like something's wrong with you. But when you hear mental fitness, well, we all need to work on our mental fitness, just like we all need to work on our physical fitness. So like I said earlier, I speak and I coach so much about mindset. And so when Sergeant Chris told me about his story, and he said, you talk about resiliency, you talk about choices, you talk about focusing on that one positive among 20 negatives. And he said, my one positive was my 2 daughters. And he said it just really changed his mindset and his outlook on life. And then he got honored by the city council. He got honored by the state senate for winning that award. And when he walked on stage at that national convention, he said he was just crying. And he said, if you only knew where I was 2 years ago. And that was his lowest point. And then since then, he became a police actor on Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum PI and NCIS Hawaii. And I could never imagine Hawaii without a Sergeant Chris Kim, because of all the good that he has done to really help our community and keep everyone safe.
I give you accolades, my friend. Whatever you're doing, it's working. To hear that story of how many people read that, you got to choose something positive. You got to focus on that positive. I just thank you for what you do. Don't you find it extraordinary? And this seems to be a human habit. We can have 1,000 people love us to death. It's that one person that we focus on that doesn't like us or whatever. We focus on the negative. It really is a daily habit to look at the positive things in our life. How easy does it become if you just start each day with that positivity?
Yeah, so I always ask people when they wake up in the morning to make it a habit to ask yourself a few questions. One question is, who do I love? A second question, what do I love? And the third question is, what do I love doing? So that's when you're asking those simple questions, it's impactful because it allows you to get into the right mindset to start your day every day on the right foot. Because we all know how it feels to wake up and be thinking, oh no, I don't really feel like it today. But if you
Yeah.
train your brain yourself to have that discipline to ask yourself those three questions, you'll keep yourself on track for what is most important in your life.
Uh, God bless you, man. It's awesome what you're doing.
Literally, I'm trying to inspire the world, and I thought if I write books, everybody in the world can read the books and the world will
Right.
be a better place. How naive was I, huh, Brad?
I just want to know why you don't have more gray hair. That's what I want to know. Because working with teenagers, woo, that's got to be rough. But yeah, thank God, we have people like you in the world. Excellent. Reach out, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to rustykomori.com. You'll see everything in the show notes, including links to his TV show. This is exciting, my friends. But I'm not going to let you go yet, Rusty, here on Awakened Nation. I have a lightning round that I always go into. My first question, are you ready, by the way? I want to ask you.
I'm ready. Let's go, Brad.
All right. My first question is Robert Kiyosaki talks about his parents a lot, his Japanese heritage growing up in Hawaii, and that success that came out of that because of some of that discipline. But he also wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his father, and then his best friend's father. Was there anything in your upbringing, your parents, let's say, or your heritage that you believe was attached to your success today?
Oh yeah, discipline. So my mom, well, both my parents, but especially my mom would instill discipline. And that without self-discipline, you cannot build good habits, and you need discipline to build good habits to lead to success.
Yeah.
And so having that self-discipline instilled in me at such a young age from my mom was very impactful. And also the schools that I went to, I mean, they were tough, disciplined schools that you don't
Right.
you got to listen, and you don't make trouble, and that's all part of it. And so I think for people now, it's better to have more discipline than less.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they hear the word discipline, they think it means paddling. Do you want to explain it outside of that tiny little box that people have seen to attach it to?
Yeah, I like to explain or define discipline as doing the right things, whether you feel like it or not. So if you want to achieve any goal, you might have to work on it every day. But we're human. Some days we feel better than others. But you can make a conscious choice to go out there and do it. It's like when you're working on physical fitness. You have a choice to go out there and do a jog or not. You have a
Right.
choice to go into the fitness room and lift weights or not. So every little bit that you do gets you closer to achieving the goals that you want. But it all comes down to you having discipline or not. So really, I like to highlight that it's a choice, but it's these conscious little choices that you make every day that allows you to be successful in anything that you're trying to achieve.
I love it. My second question is there something that you love to do that we don't know that you do?
Well, I love to go hiking. I mean, I every time I go hiking in Hawaii, I'm thinking, why don't I do this more often? I mean, it's so beautiful.
It
It's
is.
peaceful. It's so calming. You just being in touch with nature. And so I might do that for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I get busy doing other stuff, and then I'm thinking, what do I need to do to really maintain balance in my life? Because I try to help I try to coach executives to help them have balance in their lives professionally and personally at work and at home. But I have to walk the talk myself as well.
Yeah. It's so easy to push that to the side. Well, I'll get to that walk later. And my girl and I, she is really great at saying, "Hey, you want to go for a walk?" And right as the sun is setting here in Vegas, we'll go for a walk over at a park near us. And it refreshes us. We come back, and I like to work, a little later after dinner, on my podcast. I do work for clients and things like that. And it just gives me that extra oomph and grounding. Grounding is very popular nowadays, but I think in the past I could kick myself because I didn't appreciate, those walks, that traveling, and we too like to go hiking. So, by the way, if you ever get to Vegas, we got a hike, man, my friend.
Oh, I would look forward to that. And Brad, you're so right there because I tell people that unhappy people focus on things that they don't have, and happy people focus on things that they do have. So focus on things that you have, focus on things that you have control of. And there's so many things that you can do that will help what I refer to as your mental fitness. So that, I mean, just as much as we work on our physical fitness, I want everyone to work on their mental fitness so
Yeah.
they can have peak performance in everything that they're doing. But there's so many things that we have control of that we can do and not worry about things that are beyond our control or things that we don't have.
Yeah. The late James Arthur Ray said it best. He says, "Where our mind goes, energy flows." And so if you're a negative Nelly, guess what you're going to attract? How many times have you been driving down the highway, folks, and you go, "Look at that jerk. All I am is surrounded by jerks today." And suddenly you have five more jerks and another one and another one. And if you change that to, "Wow, it's so easy to get to work today." And you just go through life like that. All of a sudden you don't see any of those jerks on the highway. Yeah, that's how it goes. My third and final, my last question, my friend. Uh, what is your favorite memory?
Ooh, I like this one. So my favorite memory was probably my sister being born. So my sister's 4 years younger. That, when she was born, I just felt, wow, this is a different feeling. And when I was
Yeah.
holding her in the hospital, it was like, wow, this is crazy. And I would have to say a close second would be my niece being born because I'm in the hospital room and my sister gives me Naya to hold, and I'm thinking, oh my God, and I can't believe it. I had a flashback back to when I was 4 years old holding my sister. So I would say that those two are definitely the most special memories.
That's beautiful. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, Rusty Komori, please go to his website. We're going to have everything in the show notes. Thank you, my friend. It has been an honor to have you here on Awakened Nation. Thank you.
It's been an honor for me to be with you, Brad. Thank you.
You bet. Hey, everybody, pick up Rusty's books and watch his show. It's a fantastic. Everything he does is fantastic. So please get in there, drink some of that water. It's just phenomenal what he's doing. It's a new age of leadership, I like to say, and Rusty is one of the people leading the way. So thank you. Everybody, all I have to say is don't forget to tune in next week for another extraordinary episode here on Awakened Nation. Until then, bye-bye for now. Thank you so much for being a big part of the Awakened Nation movement. This is how you can help me and our extraordinary guests. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and share this episode out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And let's grow this movement by word of mouth. Our success is because of you. Thank you, and see you next week.